And welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to be working on the Jingle Bells Door Hanger. This is a free pattern available by Red Heart, and this has been designed by Katherine Eng. Now this is one of the projects that I really love for the holiday season, and it's the very first time I've ever done anything like this. Now this pattern works up relatively quickly, and I have to say, of the 5 gifts so far, this one is my favorite because how fast it turned out, but also how amazing it was, and something that I never already had in my holiday collection. For this tutorial you're going to need a set of Jingle Bells, and you can go to obviously a dollar store, Walmart or Target or any kind of store like that. I also had a hard time finding the ring to make up this particular hanger to go over the doorknob. What I did do though is that I went to Walmart and I found this ornament that already had it included, and essentially I just grabbed the Walmart thing. It was $1.97, and then I just crocheted around the ring. I was unable to find the ring by itself, and you know what, I think the Jingle Bells hanging from it as well kind of add a touch of class to this particular project. So let's go over the basics of this pattern, and I have a few more tips lined up for you today. The unique thing about this particular pattern is that it's extremely thick, and the reason why it's thick is that you're using 2 yarn strands at one time to give it double thickness. So if you had this gray at home and you did not have 2 balls, then you could just grab the yarn from the center of the ball and the yarn from the exterior of the ball, and that will make up your 2 strands if you want to do it that way. So you have 2 strands of gray, the hot pink and the white. You can obviously make this in any colors that you prefer for your door hanger. To help me further, and obviously to help you further, is that I went ahead and drew a little diagram of how this pattern is particularly working. Especially in the gray area, I found myself a little confused in the written instructions, and it really is not that hard. For myself, I just wanted a little bit of a roadmap to show me exactly where the stitches are going to go. So on the crochetcrowd.com I'm going to provide a scan of this particular worksheet that I'm using off camera, and if you're a diagram reader you'll be able to follow this in no time. Either way, you'll be able to follow this tutorial and have great results anyway. Also included in my instructions is that I did a roadmap for the final row number 35, and it shows you how to finish it off so that you end up with a nice rounded edge at the bottom. This just comes into handy, and because I've done it for myself I might as well scan it and give you a free copy that's available on the crochetcrowd.com. And finally, to get started today, we have the gray area, and in fact the top of the door hanger is the exact area that you're going to start, and you're going to work your way all the way to the bottom. And so then the bottom row number 35 is actually right there, just like you see as you're finishing it off. So it's not one of those you would think by looking at it that you're working from the bottom going to the top, and in actual fact on this project you're going from top to bottom. In this tutorial I am using a size 6.0 millimeter crochet hook. I am also using Red Heart with Love, as I don't have Celebration that it's calling for in stock. You can also substitute with Red Heart Super Saver. So let's begin. It says with C, which means a color. I've been doing the hot pink, gray, and white for my color themes this year. So I'm going to start off with the hot pink, and we're going to create a slip knot. Notice how I'm using both yarn strands at the same time. And we want to do that because it's going to double the thickness to make this a project that it's going to hang from the door much better. Remember that this never counts as 1, and we're simply going to chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And notice I'm not worried about these twisting around because as you can see it looks amazing. So let's complete row number 1. To finish off row number 1, it says to single crochet second chain from the hook, and then in the next 8 chains. So remember that we did 10, so we're going to skip over the first one because we have to. And here's my little trick. Turn. Right now you're looking at the chain, and normally you would just go into the side. I would turn it over and get the back loop only that's sticking up. It sticks up like the hump of a Loch Ness monster, and then single crochet into that. Once you do the first one, the chain naturally wants to turn upside down, and what this will do is it'll give you a beautiful finishing look on the other side. Normally it would just be 1 strand. Now you have 2 strands on the final edge because you're going to be working with that anyway when we're coming to round, because we're only doing the center strip at this point. So just single crochet yourself all the way down to the end of this row, and we'll meet back up in just a second. Okay, to start off row number 2, we're just going to simply turn our work, and you can either follow my crochet instructions with my diagram that's available on my website, or you can just follow along here. So it says to chain 1 and single crochet in the first single crochet, skip 1 single crochet, shell into the next single crochet, and blah 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 blah. So shell, if you look at the special instructions, special abbreviations, it's called 3 double crochet in the indicated stitch or space. So that's what a shell means. So let's begin. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet into the very first one right underneath, just like so. So now it says to skip 1 stitch, so we're going to skip the next one and go to the second over, and we're going to do a shell. So it's 3 double crochets into that same spot. So 1, 2, and 3. And now it says to skip the next stitch and then go to the second one over, and that's going to be single crochet, just like you see. And now we're going to skip the next stitch, go to the second one over, and this will be another shell. So 3 double crochets. And because you're doing double thickness of yarn, you're going to find this project just motored along so fast it's not even funny. Make sure you do grab both strings at the same time when you are pulling through. I dropped one as I went. It does make a difference. So 3, and now you're going to skip the next one and then go into the final for 1 single crochet at the end. Let's now move along to row number 3. Row number 3 is really simple too. Chain 3, double crochet into the first single crochet, single crochet into the center DC of the next shell, and etc. So let's begin. We're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And we want to double crochet into the same one right down underneath. Normally in double crochet we'd go to the second one over, but I want you to go into the exact same one on the outside, just like you see. And essentially we have to single crochet into the top of the middle section here. So it's the middle stitch of the shell here, right into the top. And now what we want to do is that this is the single crochet, and this is in between the 2 shells in the row below. We want to simply put another shell right there, so there's going to be 3 double crochets right into the middle. So you will notice that every other row the shells are in a different position so that they kind of fill in the spaces together. And so on this one here, in the next shell space, in the right one in the middle, is going to be a single crochet. And then just like we did in the very beginning, the final stitch on the outside, so you're going to skip 1, it'll be the final stitch, there will be 2 double crochets there. And that completes off row number 3. And now let's move on to row number 4. We're going to turn our work again and simply just going to chain up 1, and then we do 1 single crochet on the outside. On the very first one, 1 single crochet. And so the shell right in the last one is in the middle, so these shells right here are 1 and 2. So this row here, the shell has to go 1 and 2 on this side. And so basically every other one, the shells are here, and then in the next row it's here, and then back up again. So if we're going to do that, we got the 1 single crochet, so our shell is right in the single crochet that exists in the line below. So there is the shell, here is the single crochet, and this is where the new shell will go. And so finally, we're coming over top of the middle shell, so the very middle one is going to be a single crochet. Okay, and so then we can just skip the first one, go to the second if you wish, or just look for the single crochet on the that doesn't exist as part of the middle shell, if that helps you visualize it, and that's where your next shell is going to go. So 3 double crochets. And then finally on the very last stitch that's available on the line, it's in the top of the chain 3, right on the outside, and that is going to be a single crochet. So this will complete off row number 4, and I'm going to show you the last 2 rows one more time, which will make 5 and 6, and you need a total of 34 of these rows in total. So let's move up to row number 5. Row number 5 is the identical thing that you've learned in row number 3. So to start off with, this is going to be chaining up a 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And there will be a double crochet on the outside one, just like we've done before. So now that we can identify that there's 2 shells in the row below, there's one here and one here, the middle shell will be, the middle double crochet of the shell is going to be a single crochet, and now this one, the shell is appearing in between these two. So just either skip over one or just look for it. If you can see where to look for it, you can actually probably just avoid the counting altogether. And there will be 3 double crochets in there. And then we come into the next shell area. The middle one of the 3 is going to be a single crochet, and then the final stitch on the outside is going to be 2 double crochets, and that'll finalize row number 5. Let's review row number 6, and this will be the last time, and then I'll let you go and do your all 34 at this point. So turning our work again, we're going to do row number 6, and row number 6 is identical to what you've done in row number 4. So we're just going to chain up 1. The outside stitch is going to be a single crochet. Just look for where the shells are. So there's only 1 shell in the middle. This means that there must be a shell here and here. So we just go and look for it. So this is where the 3 are. So it's obviously the one right beside it, or you can just skip over 1, and that'll be your 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. So now you're over top of the shell and below, so we go into the middle, double crochet of them and single crochet, and then we just either can skip over to the second one over, or just look for where the single crochet is after the shell of the previous row, and then add another shell right there. So I simply just need you to go back and forth and all the way to rows number 34 using the same concepts, and on the outside we want to do a single crochet on the outside in the top of the chain 3 to signify this as being an end of this particular row. So go all the way to 34. You're going to be repeating rows 3 and 4 all throughout, and you will finish on a row 4 level when you get up to 34, if that makes any sense. So I'll meet you back up, and we'll see you soon. So I've now just completed up to rows number 34. Off camera, this did not take me very long. I am making this project as I'm going along today. So we have row number 35, and I do have the instructions written here in my diagram. This is available on the crochetcrowd.com for this pattern. And what we're going to be doing is that where you finished off, you should have 2 shells on both sides, just like you see on row number 34. So you got shell and shell. And then when we go in to look at the instructions here, what we need to do is that the end of this particular doorknob doorknob hanger at the bottom is that it has a rounded edge. Therefore, what we need to do is that we need to slip stitch ourselves to the middle section, put in a shell which consists of 5 double crochets, and then fasten off on the other side. And what this does is it creates a nice rounded edge that's hanging from the very bottom of your hanger. So what we're going to be doing today is that we're right on the final stitch now. We're just going to grab our yarn, and we're simply just going to slip stitch ourselves all the way across to the middle of the first shell. So this is the first one right in the center of the 3. That is the middle. And I'm just pulling through and through. That is a slip stitch. And now we go into the center single crochet, and we're going to do 5 double crochets right in the same stitch, and that's called a shell. So this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what we're going to be doing then is slip stitching it to the middle one of the 3 in the next. So we're just going to pull through and through, and now we're just going to fasten off. And what you have now is at the very end bottom, you now have a beautiful rounded edge, just like you see. So let's carry along to the next part of this project. Make sure you do fasten this off, because we're about to start the next color in just a moment. So let's begin the inside border, and we simply just want to take 2 strings, and I'm going to be changing it to gray at this point, and I don't want to tie any knots, and we just want to come to where we started. This is row number 1, where I finished is way back in the back end there. So I simply just want to go in the very first stitch that's available. Because I had you turn over the chain when we first started, you're going to see a beautiful edge there, and you're going to go and pull the loops through there, just like so. And we want to leave the top stragglers on top, because we're going to capture that into position. We are going to chain 1, just like so. So when we come back all the way around, we're going to finish off with this corner. So simply just go along the top, just like so, trapping that into position. So keep those stragglers on top, just like I would tell you in any other project we've done here on YouTube, and this will keep it from falling apart on you without having to have any knots, especially if this is on a front door or etc. You don't want your work being shoddy like that. So let's just go along all the way to the end, And I'm going to let the straggler now fall out. It's just easier to view for you. I can trim it anyway, and it's in there really well. So on the very final that we have, we just come into the final space just like you see. And what we want to do is turn the corner. So we're going to single crochet to turn the corner, and we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and into the same stitch to turn that corner. And that provides a nice 90-degree turn. And it's a little tight in there, but that's okay. If it was loose, you might not be so happy. So you're going to try that again. Just like so. So now what we want to do is that we want to go down the side of the project, and here's where you need to pay attention because the stitches are not that obvious as you work your way down through the side. So we're going to be working down the side of it, and just like you see, I've come across the top, and then what I need to do is that in the first row going around, as we're joining the new color onto the middle patch here, we have to make sure that these stitches are consistently going into the same spots in every position as you go all the way around. And if you do that right, then it will just fill it in beautifully, and you won't have any obscene gaps that you need to worry about. Okay, to begin, I want you to go into the very first one, and basically you're just going to fill in the gapping spaces so that you can see that this is a gapping space here, so that's where you're going to want to go. And so simply just jump over to the next one as you're working all the way down, as you're going all the way down, just like so. So basically it becomes really obvious, and the whole point is to be very consistent as you're working all the way down on your rows, just like so. And so we're going to work our way like this all the way down to the other side. So you can simply see that I'm just grabbing it into the side on a consistent basis, just like so. When you get all the way to the end, we're just going to be just consistently putting it in there. We need to turn the corner now to come over the bottom edge, just like you see. So this is the very last one there. So then you're going to do 1 single crochet, chaining 2, and 1 single crochet into that same one to allow you to turn the corner. And now we're just going to go into the slip stitching area of this section. Remember, we slip stitched in order to get that final one looking across, and we just simply just go into the stitches. This is my straggler, so I'm just laying it down, and now I'm going to go into the top of the stitches that you can see on the shell, and there will be a total of 5 of those if you remember. Okay, and now that we've gone past that, we're now going to come back onto the other side here, like so, and now we're ready to turn a corner again. So 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet, and now we're going to come back down the other side, and just like you were consistent on the other side coming across, we want to do the exact same thing but going in the other direction, back up to the other corner. So just simply just continue to grab in where you were grabbing in on the other side to make it consistent looking on this side. We've now come all the way full circle, and as you can see, now if your project is buckling in any way, do stretch it around a bit because you actually may have the right amount of stitches in there. It's just you've got to be consistent with your stitch work, so that may be something you have to worry about. So we're going to come into the final stitch, and this is the very first one that we started off with, and simply just going to single crochet and then chain 1 and then slip stitch it to the beginning to where you started, and that'll complete off the round number 1 for doing the inner side border. Let's move on to round number 2. Let's begin. We are just going to chain 1, and it says to single crochet around each single crochet working, so let's begin to do that. So we're going to start off, and we're just going to go 1 single crochet into each, and I'm going to take you to the first corner, and then I'll show you what to do at that point, and then you can do the remainder on your own. We do want to circle around this 2 more times, which includes this round that we're doing. So when you get to the first corner, just like you've been handling all the other corners, when you come into the corner edge, which is the very next one here, we want to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. So continue to do that all the way around, 1 single in each, and then do your 1 single crochet, chain 2 on each one of the corners, and I'll meet you back up at the starting point, and we'll start off round number 3 together. And when you get all the way back around on the final corner, you are going to do 1 single crochet, chain 2, and then just join it to the beginning that you started off with, and that completes off round number 2. And now let's chain up one more time. We're going to go one more round again around this puppy. So chain 1, and again each single crochet gets 1, and then on the corners you get 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet. So this is the final revolution to do the inner border, just like you see in the pattern. And again, you may need to stretch this, so just be very patient with this as you're going all the way around. Because I haven't asked you to count your stitches going all the way around, the next revolution that we're going to be doing is the white, which is the final. And essentially I'm going to show you how to cheat the system, just in case you don't end up with the right stitch counts because of the way that I showed you to do it. But remember, with crochet sometimes it's all about improvising but still getting the same results. Okay, so I've come all the way back around and just finalizing off my final stitches going around, and again the last corner here, 1 single crochet, chain 2, and then we join it to the starting point with the slip stitch, just like so. And I'm going to fasten this off. We're going to go one more revolution of white next, and that is the outer border, and this one is really no-brainer and really simple, and this will almost finish off your project for today. To begin the first round, we actually have 2 more layers to go around. Excuse me for that on the earlier the video. So we have round number 1. This is the outside border, so I just want you to loop up on your yarn again using 2 strands, and this is where we finished off, and I want you to come into the first one here and just pull it through. This is the first corner that we finished off with, and put your stragglers down on top so we can hide those. So simply I just want you to chain up 1 just like so, and single crochet into the same stitch, just like so. So this is a really simple round. We simply just want to skip the first one and go to the second over and do a shell. And again, the shells are doing 3 double crochets in a row into the same stitch. So 3 double crochets together. So 1, 2, and 3. Oops, that was 2. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. Okay, so we want to skip the next stitch and then go into the next one for a single crochet, and then we go skip another one and then go. So simply we get to have fun with this round because we didn't have you count in the last round. Sometimes you got to improvise where you are. You might actually run out of stitches, so that you may have a really kind of an unbalanced look. But this is up to your creativity to be able to pull it together. So again, I'm just going to skip over, and look at this, it just works out. It's one of those amazing projects, I have to say. The designer was excellent with this one. And just like we have before, just like so, and now I want to single crochet into the last one, just like how we started on the first side. So let's turn the corner and go from that point. So I'm still into the corner as I'm continuing to go around, and now we're going to do a shell, and the shell in this case is going to be 5 double crochets into that same corner space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then single crochet into that same spot. What that does is it provides a really nice rounded edge, just like you see here. And now we're going to skip over the next one and go to the second one over, and we want to put in 3 double crochets. So we're going to do the normal shelling going across. So I'm just going to show you a couple more. So that's 1, we skip the next stitch, single crochet, skip the next stitch, and then again a shell of 3. So do that all the way around. So in the corners, when you get to the corners, you're going to do 1 single crochet in, and then 5 double crochets into the same one going all the way around, and repeat that all the way around on this round. So I'm coming around now, and I need to cheat the system because I've run out of stitches here, and I had 1 left before going into the round. Now before going into the round, and the other one that we single crocheted and then 5 going around, I have my single crochet already here. I'm going to pretend this stitch doesn't exist. You never need my permission to cheat the rules of crochet. Remember that the patterns are really basic templates, and if you have to cheat the system once in a while just like this, you know, you got to do what you got to do. It beats frogging. So we're going to do 5 double crochets. So even though I skipped over doing the single crochet in this side here, I'm going to still put it in the other side just to be consistent so that I get the next row off to the right start, and therefore you can still see that it goes up and down on the outside edge, and then we just carry along. So where you need to break the rules is where you need to break the rules, and you know, it is all about improvising sometimes. So let's carry on going all the way around. So I've come all the way back around, and you remember how we started off with a single crochet. So simply I'm on the very last corner here, and it just happened to work out. So it's one of those things where, you know, it's actually a really easy pattern to be able to follow. So we're just going to put in our 5 double crochets as we're turning the corner. This is 4 and this is 5, and then we're just going to join it with the slip stitch, and then we're going to carry on to the very final round of this particular project before you can start doing the finishing of adding your bells and etc. So the final, there's a lot of writing here, but it actually makes a lot of sense once you break it down. So let's begin. We're going to chain 2, so 1 and 2, and it says to slip stitch in the chain, slip stitch, chain 2, and slip stitch in the center of the DC of the next shell. So we're going to come in to the middle shell. Okay, so it's the double crochet in the middle, and we're going to slip stitch it just like so, and then chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to slip stitch again. So we pull through and through, and what this is doing is it's creating more nubs on the outside of your particular project. So now we're going to play with the middle double crochets in the shells, and then the singles that are in between. So we are on the top of the shell. We've already done our single crochet, so in order to get to this single one here, we have to chain 2 first. So 1 and 2, and then we simply just go into that stitch and we do a slip stitch, and then 1 and 2, and slip it again. Make sure you do grab both strings, slip it to the same stitch underneath like so. So these are creating the nubs, and I left a stitch row behind. There we go, got it. And so I want to get to the next center point, so I'm going to go 1 and 2, and then to the top of the next shell, the middle, and we're going to slip, and then 1 and 2, and we're going to come back down and slip it back in. So it's creating a really nice ruffling effect on the outside. So again, to get to the next single crochet, we chain 2, so 1 and 2, and come into the single crochet, and we're going to slip it first, and then 1 and 2, slip into the same stitch, I dropped one of them again, and now we want to get to, I still dropped one of them. Just like so. So I want to get to the next middle one here, so we're going to go 1 and 2. So you can see by doing this is that it's providing a more ruffled look than it is more of a flat look over here, and that's the whole point of this particular round. So top of the center of the shell, we're just going to slip stitch, and then chain 2, 1 and 2, and then slip back in. So do that all the way to the corner, and let's see how we're going to manage the corner going all the way around. So I'm on the single crochet just before I go to rotate around to the corner, and remember the corners have 5 double crochets. So we're simply just going to skip over to the third one, but because we are further away than just what we were over here, we want to chain 3. So this is what's going to happen on the outside corners. So chaining 3, we still come in to the middle one of the 5 for a slip stitch, and then 1 and 2, and then back in like so. So if you're on the middle one, in order to get to the far side here, we chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and then coming back down on the edge or the single crochet at the bottom, we are going to slip stitch it, and then 1 and 2. Now on the outside edge, in this case, I'm going to totally admit there was no single crochet there because I improvised, but you know, I got to fake it where you can. So we're immediately going to jump to the next shell. So in order to do so, we have to chain 2 now and work our way down a side edge. So we come into the middle, we slip stitch it, and then 1 and 2. I find this actually kind of difficult in front of the camera. It's easier when it's closer to me in order to do so. So do that all the way around, and then on the side corners, just do the exact same thing, and we're almost done today's project. Okay, coming all the way back around, and again on the outside corner here, we started over here, so we still have to go all the way around this corner. So again, it is chain 3 in order to reach that corner, double crochet, which is the middle one, and then of course we slip stitch ourselves just like we have been all along. And then 1 and 2. And what I would do here, right at the very end, we would slip stitch it in, and then 1 and 2. And then slip stitch it and fasten it off at this point. So that would be the conclusion. And I came to realize that during this tutorial is that I actually never did that on my final sample that I have over here. I actually kind of forgot the entire row, just like you see. So it has a very different look. Actually, I prefer the designer's look a lot better than my own. And I actually used a ran here where this is more of a white, and I actually like the white even better. So you know, this is not a new pattern, the one that I did just because I omitted the outside of it. But you know, the creativity is really up to you on where you want to start and stop with some of these projects. So now let's move along to the next part. We're going to fasten that off, and I'm going to just show you some tips on being able to fasten your items together for doing embellishments for this as well. So now it's time for the fun part. We're going to accessorize our hanger just like so, and I'm going to explain how to do it, and you can figure out the rest on your own. So this hanger, as I mentioned in the beginning of the tutorial, I found it at Walmart. I could not find the rings separately, so that was one of my challenges. And so this was only $1.97 in Canadian dollars, so I felt it was really inexpensive. This is actually wired to the ring. I could have removed the bells, but I thought, you know what, that's not too bad. The ring originally had this burlap material wrapping around the ring. I didn't think that it went with my concept well enough, even though I don't mind it here so much in the bow. So all I just did is that I went a single crochet nice and tight around the ring, and then I fastened off. Now to attach it to the particular door hanger, you're just going to want to take your same color string and just tie it around the back end, just like you see. So the trick is that when you're going to attach it, you have to make sure that the door knob is not going to interfere by getting it through. So this back material, it can't be so high that you're not going to be able to get your doorknob through. The next part you're going to want to do is get your bells. You can do as many bells as you want to, or you can even do appliques or anything that you would like to do along this strip. And all you have to just do if you're doing bells is just tie it to the back. I left the stragglers hanging so you can see it there. And essentially, I only put 3 on mine. You will notice that there's 5 on the original in the tutorial, just like so. And this is a really fun and easy project. And I have 2 now. So I have 2 doors in my house, so I think 2 doors are worthy of getting this. I just got to go to get another hanger, and I'm all set to go. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Stay tuned next time as we have more fabulous tutorials all lined up for the gifts of Christmas. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.